As a bounty hunter, Rocket Raccoon with a ferocious temperament is extremely sensitive to any disturbance in the universe. It was born in an alien lunatic asylum, the product of genetic modification of humans and animals. The complex life experience since childhood gave it a sense of crisis and a sensitive heart far beyond ordinary people. Regarding the recent events in the universe, bounty hunters like the Rocket Raccoon definitely know a little bit, and have made arrangements for who can hunt and who cannot provoke such things early on. "I'm Groot," the tree man murmured. "What? You hate that robot?" "That's right, killing that robot can't bring you any nutrients, and we don't need to kill, let alone kill. Hey, you know that if we do this, the trouble will be big." "I'm Groot." No, that robot, there is only one in the universe that can be made. That guy is a cruel overlord, more cruel than that Thanos. We'd better walk around this ghost, otherwise it will be very troublesome." Rocket Raccoon was in a bad mood. He really didn't know why that person's subordinates appeared here. Could it be that poor Xander Star is about to face even more terrible disasters? This is so desperate for Xiao. The presence of Martin's subordinates means that Martin's gaze has crossed most of the universe, and he has fixed his eyes on this place. The fragile Xandal Star definitely does not dare to offend that one. Now, the whole universe knows that in a remote area called the Milky Way, a brutal conqueror who is terrible to description came out. Defeating Odin is only a trivial matter. It is not worth the horror of the entire universe, but when he killed Dormammu the news came and the whole universe trembled. That's Dormammu, Lord of Darkness, sweeping countless galaxies, making countless existences hate them, but there is no way to exist. The other side shrank into the dark dimension, and no one dared to rush in to fight Dormammu. But Martin did it. If you can't do it, you can simply kill the terrifying Mephisto Dormammu in the dark dimension. When Rocket Raccoon heard the news, the entire bear was frightened. "Remember the last time, Groot, the two of us, we went to a planet to hunt a criminal, but Dormammu unluckily spotted that planet. With just one glance, the planet collapsed. We too almost died." Rocket Raccoon's heart is lingering. Groot also imitated the Rocket Raccoon, clutching his chest, looking a little scared. Rocket Raccoon is holding a telescope and staring at the confinement. In fact, everyone is staring at the confinement, but everyone who is well-informed has realized what this black giant robot means. Some people have a look of fear and despair on their faces. Xandar Star was also targeted by that one? Someone wailed, fleeing quietly, and had to flee quickly in a spaceship. More people looked confused and curious. The confinement scanned indifferently, and soon, he noticed a lot of spying electronic devices, and suddenly snorted, "Disgusting guys, I have never seen the world." Quill's limelight was completely suppressed by confinement, and he was in a bad mood. He didn't feel good about it. "Man, because of you, the two of us have been exposed. It's better to change from a secret search to a clear snatch." Confinement immediately nodded, deeply agreeing. "Good idea." "Huh. Hey, wait." Quill's heart jumped as he spoke, but it was too late. He watched, the confined head suddenly shapeshifting, a hideous muzzle stretched out of his face, a terrifying beam of energy emerged, and a biting murderous aura spread wildly, and the killing intent spread. Boom. A huge artillery shot out, and in an instant, it blasted through more than a dozen buildings, and finally annihilated the target location and created a huge pit. This is very confined, and if you can use shelling, you will never fight melee. You, what did you do?" Quill covered his face and collapsed. "This is Xandal Star, on someone else's territory. I'm just attacking the target. I found the killer named Gamora." The sound of the confinement was cold, and he strode forward. Not only did the muzzle sticking out of his face not retract, but instead began to accumulate energy again, and he was about to blast out a second attack. That bastard named Gamora actually took the magic ball in front of them. This is an unforgivable mistake. Killing Gamora and regaining the magic ball is his highest task as a bounty hunter. Nothing else matters. The confinement went straight all the way, making countless people retreat in fear. Until he stood in a pothole and bowed his head indifferently. In an instant, a vigorous figure suddenly jumped, raising his hand with a knife, and slashing it on the confined neck. But only a spark was cut out. Damn it. Gamora had a gray head and face, and her body was also covered with scars. She endured hard, just to cut the knife, but the strength of the opponent's body was beyond her imagination. These shape-shifting King Kong. What kind of monster are they? No wonder Thanos is so afraid of them. Gamora cursed secretly. Die, Gamora, you took things you shouldn't take, and use your life to pay for your sins. The sound of the confinement was cold, and the second cannon was about to be blasted out. A large number of small flight machines gathered to surround the confinement and Gamora. Stop. You have severely violated the laws of Sandal Star, and you will be arrested. On the flight machine, a large number of weapons began to accumulate energy, but more were directly aimed at the confinement. Every pilot's face was covered with sweat and nervous. The fighting power of this big guy is too strong, and it seems that a single jump in place will blow them all up. They also know better what it means to appear in confinement here. It is a terrifying shadow that almost suffocates them. Boring. The confinement was quickly scanned, and after a comprehensive analysis, it was confirmed that he would resist, and he would be bombarded into dregs on the spot, and he gave a cold snort. Quill raised his hand and yelled, "Wait a minute, this is a misunderstanding." The giant cannon that had confined its face was confined, and looked at these Sandal Star's troops indifferently. He was caught, and under Quill's dumbfounded gaze, he was caught so cleverly. "Why are you so easy to talk? Then why don't you listen to me?" Quill was also held down, a little broken. Confinement glanced at Quill arrogantly, his gaze seemed to be looking at a second fool. "I am a bounty hunter, and all my actions are for money and missions, not a warrior who is charging. Your mind is filled with something." "What?" The senior officials of Sandal Star gathered together, looking sad. It is certain that the guy who claims to be in confinement is from Cybertron and is that one's subordinate. My suggestion is to let it go. Once he is imprisoned, we will face the anger of Cybertron, which will trigger a new interstellar war, and it will definitely be defeated. Let it go. Are you crazy? That guy openly fired, causing panic around the world. This kind of behavior is enough to sentence him to life imprisonment. Just let it go, and the majesty and prestige of Xanderstar will be completely lost. It's better to lose face than to be extinct. If I were you, I would never drag the entire Sandal Star into a defeated war because of a little dignity. A mere Ronin would be enough. Let us be exhausted, and if Cybertron is added, even if that one doesn't make a move, we will definitely not be opponents. Someone said without a smile. The entire conference room was in a quarrel, and many high-level executives were sullen and arguing. Boom. There was a loud noise. Immediately after that, the piercing alarm sounded. What happened? Someone asked seriously. Someone is robbing prison. A soldier rushed in, sweating profusely. The many high-level faces looked at each other, but it was weird. Everyone didn't speak, and they looked at each other, and they could feel the brilliance in each other's eyes. Robbery. How could this happen? False, it must be false, and it's not too late to figure out a way to chase them after they escape. Their goal is the magic ball, but the magic ball is still in our hands. A general suddenly spoke and pointed to the silver sphere in the center of the table. Some people frowned, with doubts on their faces. What the hell is this magic ball, worthy of overlords like Martin and Thanos, who have to send their men to snatch it? The few people who knew something vaguely looked at the magic ball of the universe with complex expressions on their faces, eager, greedy, and more fearful. Infinite gems, the treasure of the entire universe, no one will give up this treasure whenever possible. Boom boom boom. Deafening roars rang out one after another, and with the flames rising into the sky, it was obvious that those who escaped from prison had gone too far. A group of several people escaped from the prison with strides. I'm going to find the universe magic ball. The confinement head stretched out the barrel, and he started bombarding frantically all the way, but everything he could see was washed out by his firepower, opening the way in this violent way. Looking for the magic ball. What the hell is it? It's worth noting so many of you. Rocket Raccoon lay on Groot's back and exclaimed in surprise. I rescued you to make money and to ask you for employment fees, not to watch you die. I'm Groot. Groot nodded repeatedly. As if he hadn't heard the confinement, he killed all the way out, and the scene was bloody. He stepped onto a spaceship and dragged the soldiers out to kill him. Quill and others can only bite the bullet and rush in. Gamora moved swiftly to sit in a position with a low voice. The power in the magic ball of the universe cannot be obtained by destroyers like Thanos or Martin. It will be a disaster for the entire universe. Quill sneered. You're crazy, female assassin, you actually compare Thanos with my master. Ha 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 ha. Drax hugged his belly and laughed, alive like a fool. Gamora was silent for a moment, and said coldly, I don't know what Martin really wants, but I vaguely feel that his ambition is greater than Thanos. Definitely will be bigger, Thanos's kind of goods, also worthy of comparison with my creator. Driving the spaceship in confinement, flying at an exaggerated speed, directly rushed to the royal capital of Xandar Star. Amid the screams of the crowd, there was a loud noise and it directly slammed into the past. Boom. Confinement stepped out of the spaceship door and was directly shot by a large number of soldiers. This frequent attack and shooting on Confinement has faintly put his body under huge amounts of pressure, and the energy reserves in his body are also consumed at an alarming rate. Boring. The Confinement was shot out directly, and all these guys were blown up, and they broke into the core conference hall of Xandar Star like a god of war. Give me the magic ball, otherwise, death is waiting for you. You must be clear that offending the creator will bring you permanent extinction. The Confinement voice was indifferent, and he went all the way in with frequent shelling. A large number of soldiers died tragically on the spot, and they could not stop the terrible hunter for half a step. His huge figure concealed all the high levels of Xandar Star, confined and looked down, and the killing intent was permeated. Take the magic ball, get out of here, get out of Xandar Star. The leader of the New Star Legion directly picked up the magic ball on the table and threw it to Confinement in the dust. No, everyone will die here. A mere confinement is so difficult to deal with. Then the entire Cybertronian endless army descends. Can Xandar Star stop it? Very good, there is finally a guy who is not so stupid. The barrel on the face of the Confinement was retracted, and he was about to catch the magic ball. Gamora immediately rushed over to cut Hu, but the Confinement had already thrown it out with a wave of his hand, letting it be embedded into the wall with a bang. The magic ball successfully fell into the hand of Confinement. Confinement lowered his head and stared for a while, and unscrewed the magic ball directly, revealing the power gem in it. This gorgeous power made people dazzling, and the whole person seemed to sink into it. Good, very good. This is the power gem. As long as this gem is handed over to the creator will have 4 infinite gems in one fell swoop, and no one in the entire universe will be the master's opponent. Confinement was very satisfied, but at this moment, a large number of interstellar fleets suddenly appeared in space, and then frantically rushed to the star Shandal. Good. Ronan. It's Ronan the Accuser. That demon is here. The Carry fleet led by Ronan directly began to fire frantically, especially Ronan himself, who directly descended to the royal capital. Fragments. I feel the power of infinite gems, that must be mine. With the flame of desire burning in Ronan's eyes, step by step, he went straight to the location of the gem of strength. Ronan. Drax's eyes turned red, and he rushed at him with a roar, but Ronan didn't even look at it, kicked Drax into the air with one kick, and rushed directly into the Confinement. Robot. Give me what you hold. I can spare you not to die. A powerful force burst out from Ronan, looking at the Confinement claws with a sullen expression. Looking at the power gem, Ronan's eyes were red. This is the smell of power, and it's close at hand. Why is he wanted by the Carry Empire? Why be a dog for Thanos? After all, it is because he does not have the power to be strong enough to ignore everything. As this infinite gems? Even if you get this thing, even if it is Thanos, you have to kneel in front of me. Ronan walked along, rushing forward with a vigorous step, waving the heavy hammer in his hand. Court death. The Confinement closed the magic ball, his face stretched out of the barrel, and he shot out again. Boom. Ronan directly used the warhammer to blow the artillery into the air, which directly caused a large number of Xandar Star soldiers on both sides to be involved in the explosion, screaming again and again. Robot. Ronan, sentence you to death. With a twisted expression on his face, Ronan held the warhammer high and smashed the Confinement with a fierce blow. Boom. This powerful blow hit the confined chest deeply on the spot. containing that powerful body, at the moment was hit by Ronin's full force, and a terrible depression was smashed into his chest, and he was also thrown out in one fell swoop. Be careful. His hammer is the strongest individual weapon of the Carry Empire. Don't be smashed. Gamora drew his sword and shouted. I thank you for reminding me now. The confinement voice cursed in a low voice, a little embarrassed, stood out from the ruins, and began to run quickly, like a big mountain, quickly slammed into Ronin from the side. Boom. Ronin suddenly raised an arm, holding the warhammer, and directly resisting the terrifying confinement. In an instant, huge amounts of smoke and dust flew up, and the two erupted with a terrible roar, crashing together, and the horrible shockwave that was visible to the naked eye suddenly exploded, blowing up large swaths of debris with a shocking momentum. The force of the confinement hit, the inertia combined with the instantaneous explosive force, the power of millions of tons, was actually blocked by Ronin. Stupid robot, don't you know that as long as I have this universal weapon in my hand, I will never be harmed by things like you. The highest creation of the Carry Empire is terrible, you have never heard of it. Ronin showed a cruel smile, grabbing a confined arm, and immediately there were rays of light gushing from the warhammer, giving Ronin a powerful force. He kept forcefully breaking the confined arm. Go to get the universe magic ball. His long-handled warhammer, called the universal weapon, is the top technological creation of the Carry Empire. The energy of the universe can be manipulated, and material decomposition, material reorganization, shape-shifting of objects can be realized according to Ronin's will. Energy-absorbing launches shockwave, controls gravity to create a force field, creates a time movement field, and transmits hyperspace ideas. This warhammer has the characteristics of time, space, and energy, and it can be called a divine weapon. The confinement screamed in his mouth, and his face immediately extended a giant cannon. The action was swift. At the moment Ronin's face changed, a shell was shot out on the spot, and a terrible explosion broke out, knocking the two of them into flight at the same time. Go to hell! Drax yelled and threw himself at Ronin. Rocket Raccoon also bit the bullet and barely suppressed his fear of Ronin. After quickly assessing the situation on the field, he gritted his teeth and decided to attack Ronin. Obviously, he bet the future on confinement, and even more on Cybertron. He, a bounty hunter, artificially helps confinement and can bring him greater value. At the moment, Quill and Gamora also started action. One shot Ronin and the other went to get the magic ball. Go away, you rubbish! Ronin roared, and a powerful wave of energy immediately emerged from the warhammer, starting to lift the earth up, and even among the flying rocks in the sky, blasting Quill and others into the air. This powerful shockwave made their bodies immediately suffered serious damage. Damn it! Gamora spouted a mouthful of blood. As the top killer in the universe, she knew immediately that her internal organs had been severely damaged, and her eyes showed deep resentment. If it weren't for that Carry artifact, Ronin could kill 10 in 1 second. She can be favored by Thanos, and she has been trained carefully since she was a child, so she can't say much about her strength. It's over, stupid fellows. Ronin was holding the warhammer with a feverish look on his face, and walked over slowly, reaching out to grab the magic ball of the universe. Don't even think about it. Confinement suddenly whispered, unscrewing the magic ball, stretched out his left hand, and directly grabbed the power gem. Ronin's face changed in an instant, and his figure quickly backed away. Are you crazy? You are not even the level sub-godfather. You are looking for death if you touch infinite gems directly. The horrible purple light began to crazily emerge from the confinement body, and the lines like lightning quickly spread from the left hand to the confinement body. There was a roaring sound, and I saw cracks in the confined body immediately, obviously because it could not withstand the terrifying volume of the power gem, and the body was declining step by step under the terrible load. Don't you want infinite gems, eh? The things are in my hands, come and get them. Confined with a hideous face, with a strong cruelty and madness, he walked towards Ronin step by step. Without taking a step, the coercion on him became even more terrifying, and the signs of the body's collapse became more and more obvious. Ronin's face was livid, his hands firmly grasping the warhammer, his face was uncertain, and his greed and desire became more intense in his jealousy. This robot is simply lunatic. Even he did not intend to touch the infinite gems with flesh and blood, but intended to use infinite gems inlaid on his warhammer. Boom. A purple light flashed out, and the entire gravitational field of Shandelstar was distorted by this absolute force. Volcanic eruptions, ocean boiling, magnetic field chaos, and an apocalyptic scene. Ronin roared. Under the terrible pressure, his entire face was distorted, and he desperately held the warhammer high to resist. In a bang, his whole body was blasted out, and the warhammer, at the moment, also erupted with a low wailing. Boom. The huge amounts of purple ripples spread. If you look down from space, you can see the bright purple on the surface of the planet, covering 1/10 of the surface of Shandel. It's because of the power of infinite gems. The entire royal capital and the surrounding cities were hit hard, and large buildings collapsed. After hitting this punch of absolute power, the confined left hand exploded on the spot, half of his body collapsed suddenly, and the fire in his chest was extremely dim, looking like it would go out at any time. The power gem fell feebly to the ground with a light ding sound. In an instant, the entire Xander star began to tremble violently, and the frequency that the power gem leaked slightly began to destroy Xander star. In the next instant, a warhammer slammed down, and in a crash, directly mounted the power gem. No. Drax looked crazy. He watched Ronin get the power gem, and the hope of revenge went away from him. You killed my family. I want to kill you. Drax rushed forward again. This time, there was terrible energy growing in him, and Ronin was a little concerned about the power that had completely erupted. Level sub-Godfather. But it doesn't matter, level Godfather will die if he comes. I don't even know your family. I have killed too many people. Where can I remember to come over? Ronin sneered, turned the warhammer, lifted his finger, and in a bang, a purple beam of energy shot out and hit Drax head on. In an instant, Drax the Mighty Destroyer was severely injured, and his entire body was severely damaged. It seems to be torn apart. With just one thought, the warhammer burst out a random wave of energy, but this random blow naturally mobilized the power of the power gem and almost killed Drax. This kind of power is just a thought of Ronin. Ronin showed a frantic smile on his face, with a kind of madness and obsession that finally got his wish, opened his arms, holding the warhammer in one hand and pointing directly at the sky. My accuser Ronin, finally, has the power to completely destroy the Xandar star. Ronin yelled loudly, stared, and scanned everyone around him cruelly. Especially when he saw that the residents of Sandal Star came out from the ruins and looked at him with a confused expression, the thrill of killing and revenge surged on the heart. Ronin is very satisfied. The crimes you committed will eventually be washed away with blood, and I will become the final judge of Xandal, and the result of the trial is, you all deserve to die. All of you will die at the feet of my Ronin. The terrifying pressure erupted from Ronin. Gradually, Ronin became more and more adaptable to the powerful function of the power gem. This omnipotent greatness made him extremely intoxicated. Quill got up from the ground with a sullen face, half of the blood of the gods in his body, but still able to move. At the moment he watched Ronin get what Martin ordered him to take, and suddenly his eyes were red. Infinite gems fell into Ronin's hands. What did he explain to Martin? Immediately gritted his teeth, Quill decided to use his nirvana. He wants to dance. He is going to die, Ronin. There may be a chance to come back. Quill roared and was about to jump up, but Ronin was not in the mood to interact with the ants. He held the hammer high, and he was about to smash it down. I am the god of this world, the omnipotent cosmic god. Whoever it is must die. Ronin roared, and the light of the power gem swept everything in an instant. It only takes a moment for him to smash the warhammer to the ground under his feet and destroy the Xandal star. But at this moment, you are Ronin? A peaceful voice came. But this kind of peace clearly brewed a terrible sense of oppression, as if as long as Ronin dared to hit this blow, he would face consequences more terrible than death. Everything seemed silent. Ronin turned his head stiffly. The power gem on his warhammer, at the moment, flashed abruptly, as if roaring with the power of the same origin. Almost all the people on the planet were suffocated and looked up. I saw huge amounts of blue spacetime vortex surging, and thunder flickered, and a seemingly ordinary figure was slowly walking out of it, with a steady pace and a calm demeanor. It's over. I actually provoked this guy. At the moment, the surviving senior of Xandal Star, with a pale face, simply slumped on the ground with a look of despair. Martin alone coerced the Sundar Star, which is famous in the whole universe, and made countless people tremble. You just said that no matter who it is, you are going to die. Martin stepped out of the space-time tunnel step by step, his complexion calm, his moving gaze past everyone until he saw the tragic condition of confinement, and then he paused slightly, and there was a wave of fluctuations in his eyes. The monstrous coercion erupted, and the entire fixed star system including Xandal Star began to tremble violently. You are Martin? I have got the power gem, I am no worse than you. Ronan gritted his teeth and let out a crazy roar. He was holding his warhammer, and the power gems on it kept flashing. It seemed that he wanted to use this method to enhance his confidence. But until he saw Martin's raised right fist and looked at the 3 infinite gems on it, his voice stopped abruptly, and his eyes were full of horror and disbelief. These 3 are all infinite gems. No, they must be fake. Why do you have 3 infinite gems? Ronan's face was stiff, showing an unbelievable look, screaming frantically. Why are there 3 infinite gems? Space, time, mind. Why is it so? The man in front of him, but from a remote and backward planet, could get 3 gems in one fell swoop, but Ronan, he tried his best to be a running dog for Thanos, but he could only get 1? Ronan, your ambitions don't match your vision at all. The only consequence that awaits you is death. Martin spoke lightly, walked out slowly, first came to the confinement side, frowned, and in his heart, the power of the fire source emerged, and the confinement continued for a wave of life, making his dim fire bright again. Then, he turned around, eyes that seemed to be brewing the entire universe, staring straight at Ronan, and slowly stretched out his hand. Give me the gem of strength, and I will spare you not dying, Martin said flatly. Ronan's face was twisted, he hesitated for a moment, and then went crazy immediately, his greed for the power gem prevailed. Even if you have 3 infinite gems, don't want to take away my gems so easily. Ronan roared. Martin slowly said, forget it, I'll kill you and grab the power gem with my own hands. To be honest, with the power gem in hand, many things will become easy. Power gems are the infinite gems that are most adept at attacking. With one punch, they are infinitely powerful and can destroy all forms of defense. They are the most suitable gems for Martin. What he lacks most is the power gem. In an instant, Martin felt a sense of horrible oppression that was enough to overwhelm countless galaxies. His figure became infinitely tall. At the same time, slowly raising his head, the seemingly peaceful face had long been growing cold. At this moment, it seemed that the ancient gods of the entire universe were looking up at Martin's figure. The power of yellow, blue, green, and 3 infinite gems burst from Martin, and the terrible pressure radiated to the entire universe. Infinite gems pointed directly to the deepest law of a universe, and Martin directly grasped the 3 vital forces in the entire universe. The fluctuations that emerged at that moment shook the entire universe and were noticed by all the ancient gods. At the moment, even the top cosmic god, at the moment can't ignore Martin's existence. Why? He suddenly possessed 3 infinite gems. In the 10 billion years since the Big Bang, there have been too many children of destiny, but no matter how powerful they are, no one has ever been able to get 2 or more infinite gems at the same time. Take control. This is abnormal. How many gods have been searching for hundreds of thousands of years and have been unable to find the cobweb horse trails of infinite gems, but now, there are already such scary guys directly holding 3 infinite gems in their hands. Isn't Thanos the destiny of this era? All ancient prophecies point to the last eternal titan, but now, these prophecies are all invalidated, and the future fate is blurred. This Martin is equivalent to smashing the ultimate prophecy of the past and present, and rewriting the deepest inertia of the universe. Who is he and where does he come from? Stop him. His dangerous guy has mastered 3 infinite gems, and he is greedily taking possession of the 4th one. Let such a terrifying guy grow up. The future of this universe will always belong to him in a human being. It's useless. When he gets the space gem, he can contain it, and when he gets the mind gem, there are 5 creation gods that can be suppressed, but when he gets the time gem, most of the methods are useless, and the 5 gods are also useless. Be cautious, but now, He is about to get the power gem. Everything, nothing can be done. There are many powerful cosmic gods hidden in this universe, and some of them have existed since the birth of the universe. They have been asleep for too long, but at this moment, they were all awakened. He opened his eyes vaguely, but was surprised to find that the world had become strange to them. A human named Martin is so terrible that he has the power to overlook them. Perfect control of an infinite gems, you can have the power of level single universe. What about the three? What about the fourth one that is about to be obtained? It is impossible to imagine that there is no precedent in history, and no one has ever been able to do this. Countless eyes crossed the universe and directly fell on the little star of Sandal. They stared at Martin with fear and treacherous eyes. Except for a small number of gods who were just pure curiosity and eating melons, there were also some guys who were watching. I was looking forward to it in the middle of my heart, watching greedily, just about to move. Whenever Martin reveals a flaw, they will pounce on like a group of mad dogs seeing flesh and bones, tear up Martin who has changed too much, and snatch infinite gems. However, Martin only slowly raised his head, showing a cold smile. This comes from the mortal's overlook of the gods, and it is also the contemptuous sneer of the overlord of the new era at these old antiques who should have been eliminated and bloodbathed long ago. I am rising, and you are already at the top. When I stand at the top, you all deserve to die. There is no complicated love, hatred, just because. These guys who occupy their positions but have never continued to become stronger have blocked my progress and hindered me from looking up into the distance. The garbage piled up for too long will not only occupy a place, but also emit a bad smell. Just clean up all of it. Anyway, it was originally a bunch of garbage. At this moment, Martin's smile was extremely cruel, but it's a pity that many owners in sight did not perceive this concealed danger signal. And as the accuser Ronin, who was facing all the pressure of Martin, at the moment was like falling into an ice cave. Every cell in his body was screaming at this moment. Even if there are power gems. Ronin's face was distorted, he let out a roar like a beast, wielding a warhammer, and in a crash, a powerful purple force burst out and slammed directly at Martin. Martin directly raised his right hand, and the three infinite gems lighted up at the same time, directly acting on the magnetic glove, only to hear a loud noise, terrible ripples breed, and everything was madly bombarded. In the same place, there was nothing else except Martin and Ronin, as if all this had been smoothed out by the invisible hand. Boom. Luo Nan spouted blood, his face was full of horror and panic. He personally felt his countless cells decayed and died. No, I also have infinite gems, I am also a universe god, why? Ronin's mouth was bleeding, but he was unwilling to say. The gem of power falls into your hands, and even half of the power cannot be used, but if it falls into my hands, I can use 90% of its power. This is the gap between you and me, Ronin. Let's go to death with peace of mind. Your infinite gems, from now on belong to me. Martin's voice was indifferent, the three kinds of brilliance intertwined and flickered, coupled with Martin himself. The fire source in his body suddenly burst into a powerful force, and Ronin himself immediately began to annihilate in a crash. A power gem that can't be controlled perfectly at all, can't keep him comprehensive under the power of three infinite gems. The warhammer exuding great power was firmly grasped by Martin with one hand. At the moment, Martin directly stretched out his left hand and grabbed the purple gem on the warhammer. Ronin's eyes lit up. Martin, just human. It is impossible for him to have the power to touch infinite gems directly. Yes, that's it. How can a human being born on Earth, a flesh and blood body, be qualified to touch infinite gems? Bang. You will die. Martin didn't seem to know what Ronin was thinking, so he stretched out his hand, gently squeezed the power gem, and then snapped it suddenly. Boom. The warhammer shattered. No, what kind of monster are you? Why can you touch infinite gems with flesh and blood? You are just a lowly human. Ronin looked incredulous, and in his madness, he stretched out his hand to grab the power gem. Martin pinched the power gem with 2 fingers, his face calm and steady, but at a faster speed. He gently placed the power gem on the magnetic glove of his right hand. The magnetic glove immediately produced a new dent, which steadily caught the power gem and matched it. In an instant, an indescribable wave of horror suddenly appeared, In a bang, even Ronin, at the moment, was directly lifted out, and a large body of tissue was turned into countless atoms and dissipated on the spot. Martin held up his right hand, and finally showed a ribbon of joyful laughter on his face. The 4 infinite gems spread the terrible power that shocked the entire universe, bursting out 4 bright brilliance that tore the universe, complementing each other. When the 4 infinite gems were gathered by Martin in his hands, the entire universe seemed to be under him. The feeling of being above everything, with a fascinating attraction, overlooking countless stars and countless gods. In the face of this terrifying force that burst out, Ronin, who was the first to bear the brunt of resentment and horror on his face, was blasted by the 4 cosmic forces. Without even a scream, he turned into endless on the spot. Dust. Martin stood on the Star of Sandal and did not react to Ronin's death. He felt as if he had trampled on an ant casually. He just looked down at the 4 infinite gems of the magnetic glove and felt it seriously. A mighty force above the universe. It's really fascinating, the feeling of omnipotence. Sandal's survivor, I won't die around you. Martin's gaze swept, and it was a gaze that was filled with an oppression that made it difficult for ordinary people to look at each other. He slowly opened his mouth, a blue light flashed, and several time and space tunnels had been formed, confining Quill and wait for everyone to swallow it in. Martin finally looked down at 25 and took a deep look at this messy and dilapidated planet. It was obvious that not long ago, it was still prosperous and peaceful, but just because Ronin and Martin were fighting with infinite gems, everything changed. This cruel world is like this, and even the consequences of such fighting that can be seen with the naked eye are at least clear. When those terrifying cosmic gods and multi-universe gods go to war, the universe collapses between backhands, and multi-universe is restarted after opening up. Hundreds of millions of beings don't even know what's happening. They are all counted in an instant. Obliterated. After Martin left with his subordinates for a long time, the talents of Sandal Star finally recovered. Many people sat directly on the ground, crying in low voices. That guy killed Ronin and saved Xander Star, but he unscrupulously started the war and killed countless people on Xander Star. Alas. The senior officials of Sandal Star looked at each other, showing bitterness. This shows that Martin didn't take them seriously from the beginning, and didn't care about their life or death at all, and everything was just to get infinite gems. Cybertron. Martin threw Quill and others to the ground, and at the same time called an ambulance, and said lightly, "The confinement will not last long. Treat him as soon as possible. Whether it is to reshape the body or replenish energy, it must be as soon as possible." The ambulance looked serious, especially after looking down at the confinement injury. He was even more shocked. He scanned the confinement body with the power of infinite gems, and it was still a strange infinite gems. This guy actually touched infinite gems directly? The ambulance subconsciously glanced at the extra purple gem on Martin's right hand. Well, fortunately I noticed the signal he sent when he was dying. If I go a few seconds later, this guy will be corrupted by the power of infinite gems. Martin said lightly. The ambulance immediately rushed the confinement to the medical room, his expression dignified. Quill, although you didn't do very well this time, but at least you still worked hard. Well, the team members you recruited are really good. Martin looked at the full members of the Guardians of Galaxy, his tone was flat. Quill's body shook, and he was about to speak, enduring the pain of his whole body, but the next moment, the green light flickered, and all of them were enveloped. Time went back, and the injuries on their bodies immediately disappeared, returning to what they were before the injury. State. Gamora looked down at herself and took a deep breath, shocked. This Martin has mastered such a high level of infinite gems? But it's good, at least. Thanos looks like it's impossible to get all the infinite gems. I will not restrict your actions, you can leave anytime as long as you want. Martin's gaze swept over these guys one by one, and finally, there was a slight pause on Gamora's body. His gaze was somewhat meaningful. Gamora, you can't stay here. If you stay here, how can Thanos have a chance to get the soul gem? After everyone was gone, Martin sat on the seat alone, bowed his head, carefully examining the 4 infinite gems. Space, time, mind, and power, the 4 kinds of laws that directly point to the core of the universe, are directly related to the power of the foundation of the universe. At the moment, Martin carefully understood. With 4 infinite gems in hand, the general level single universe is no longer my opponent. From a common sense, I have stood at the extreme of the single universe, but... Martin thought silently. Not enough. He once again used the time gem to observe the countless timelines of the future. No surprises, countless kinds of futures, at the moment are all at a certain node, cut off by unknown existences, as if, in the dark, there are already terrible existences. Staring at this universe, even though he hasn't even set out to come, just a thought has already made the universe react. If it is a level single universe that can be affected by the timeline or an enemy that can't even reach the level single universe, it is impossible to integrate all the future in one go. Only a terrifying guy who transcends the limits of a single universe can achieve this effect. Martin thoughtfully. The multi-level universe can already rely on its own size and specifications to be equivalent to the vast and endless multi-universe. Each of their subtle actions can destroy and create countless universes at will. Each of their thoughts, it will be remembered by the multi-universe originally Pan will, and it will be transformed into something similar to a part of the rule and run. Now, Time Gem is telling him clearly that the future of this universe has been locked, and that at a certain point in time, he will suffer a terrifying and unknown disaster. According to Martin's guess, this is a guy who has been engraved on the multi-universe with his own thoughts. Even if the other party has not yet started to act, he has already reacted on the timeline of this universe. Multiple level universes can ignore all timeline fluctuations, surpass countless single universes, and easily play with billions of worlds. Martin sighed, with a trace of yearning on his face. Who would not yearn for this level? In the dark, 4 infinite gems gleamed one after another, giving Martin a source of constantly powerful power. Time is passing. Finally, in this silence, it seemed that something had suddenly appeared. A great existence in the dark came, which directly triggered a fierce response from infinite gems, and a special vibration frequency multiplied. At this moment, the passage of time and space seems to have stopped naturally, as if because of the distinguished identity of the visitor, time and space are spontaneously giving way. I thought you would endure until when you would come to see me. Martin's face was calm, and he spoke lightly. A figure walked slowly out of the darkness. At first glance, the whole body is pitch black like a black hole, without clear facial features, as if the whole body is made of shadows. But if you look closely, you can be surprised to find that within this shadow-like body, there are countless bright galaxies slowly rotating. It seems that the bright stars of the entire universe are covered by this great existence in front of you. Inside, the entire universe is in the body of this existence. I am eternal. This great existence opens its mouth. Eternal. One of the 5 creation gods of Marvel, it symbolizes the immortal gods. At the moment, he came to Martin himself. It is indeed time to talk about it. The trajectory of this universe has been modified beyond recognition by Martin, a guy who does not predict or rise on any future timeline. Even eternity, at the moment, can't sit still. You have been in contact with death before, and you must have heard of me. Standing quietly in front of Martin forever, every moment, countless galaxies in his body are passing by, as if hundreds of millions of years have passed. Martin slowly got up, with a smile on his face, and nodded slightly. Definitely, the noble eternal Lord, the names of your 5 gods, the entire multi-universe, anyone who has some experience, knows it clearly. Taking advantage of this gap, Martin looked at the eternity in front of him and quickly assessed the opponent's strength. Through the combined force of 4 infinite gems, the result he got is, it is not a multi-level universe in general, but it is far beyond the boundary of level single universe. It seems that eternity is originally related to the foundation of multi-universe. It has already surpassed other existence. Even a trivial duplication in this universe has a concept far beyond level single universe. Under normal circumstances, the 5 great creation gods will have duplications in every universe, and these duplications are replicated with the spontaneous replication of countless universes. I guess it's not a good thing for a noble god like you to come to me. Martin laughed. The eternal voice is dim. On the contrary, Martin, we believe that you deserve the destiny of this universe. Martin paused, looking at eternity in surprise. Eternal said, in fact, we were more inclined to choose Thanos. His will is extremely tough, His ideal is extremely lofty, although I do not agree with his ideal relying on the elimination of half of life to continue this universe lifespan is just an extremely rude and brainless method, but at least his efforts for his ideals can't be blamed. Then why did you abandon him again? Martin said lightly. Because you are better than him, Martin. Your future is more brilliant than him, your strength is stronger than him, and your ambitions are also crazier than him. Eternal said, originally, Death also wanted to destroy the universe. Thanos turned Blacken into a madman similar to Thanos in other universes, but I stopped him. I plan to see how different Thanos in this universe will make a difference. As a result, he has not grown up yet. When I got up, I was interrupted by you. Martin, you personally got something that should belong to Thanos, and you have already got 4. He has no chance to surpass you. The destiny of this universe has changed. Eternally bowed his head, looked at Martin with a calm face, and said, you have got the destiny, and the whole universe will invite you. You will do everything you want. You will get the help of countless gods. You will become this. The destiny of the universe, the destiny belongs to. Martin remained unmoved. Compared to the benefits I can get, I want to know what you high-ranking beings have paid for, and what do you want me to do? The 5 gods will not do meaningless things, they have always been like this. A terrible guy is coming. The future of this universe is destined to be dark, and you, inherited the fate, should stand up and fight the demon. Eternal said. Martin stared at him for a long while, then suddenly laughed. Is it funny? The eternal voice was calm. Get out of here. Martin said lightly, get out of me. Eternal was silent for a while, and said calmly, it's not a good idea to offend a god of creation. When you are aloof, but you think you condescend to meet me, you should have this kind of psychological preparation. Martin slowly got up, his face already cold. Destiny. Such a ridiculous thing. Yes, Martin confirms that he is the destiny of this universe, but don't forget, what he calls destiny is because he is above everything, using blood and war to force everything to make concessions in front of him. Bow your head. Instead of relying on charity and gifts, in eternal terms, he can get the destiny because of the nodding of the 5 gods and the love of the universe. Shit. From the very beginning, he relied on war and plunder, with crazy slaughter and extinction, to snatch the so-called destiny into his own hands step by step, conquering first, and then destiny, not the other way around. He doesn't need to accept any charity from anyone or God, especially when the other party makes it clear that he will use the destiny as a bait to guide him to do something. Do you think I'm so cheating? I don't know anything about the nature of destiny? Martin sneered again and again, approaching eternity step by step, and finally, almost to his face, those cold eyes stared at eternity. The destiny in the mouth of the 5 gods is essentially the chess pieces they choose to complete a specific task. The Family Planning Commission Thanos got the fate and killed half of his life, then what? Thor had his head chopped off. He Martin does things, and he doesn't need anyone to point his finger at him, even if the other party is the 5 gods. He will only follow his own will to do the right thing, and all guidance and hints from external forces to him will be regarded as a provocative act by Martin. Martin stretched out a finger, focusing on the eternal chest, and the power of 4 infinite gems burst out, directly solidifying eternity in place. This blow seemed to be directly on the eternal supremacy. You are just lucky. You were born earlier than me. When there were not a few competitors, luck exploded and gained the position of God. If I were in the same age as you, you would not be in front of me. Any chance, good luck, will. Eternal, I honor you as a god, that's also because your position is worthy of respect. I respect your god, not you who sit on the gods. Martin let out an inexplicable low laugh. He knew the eternal origin of the present. This eternity, strictly speaking, is the 2nd generation of eternity. And the real, the most original 1st generation eternity, is to be killed and replaced by this guy in front of you. This is the true eternal origin of one of the 5 Marvel creation gods, a history that has been ignored by many people. Many gods of the diverse level universe do not know this eternal history. However, there are memories of past lives. Martin, who has read the comics, knows. Leaving here, I have my own plan, Martin said indifferently. After staring at Martin for a long time, he finally left without saying a word. Perhaps, his heart was filled with anger, or, there was no wave in his heart, and Martin's behavior seemed to be watching Joker. But at least one thing he understood. Martin, absolutely will not obey all their orders. Martin stared at the eternally disappearing figure indifferently, with a faint cold glow in his eyes. If he had a choice, he really planned to keep eternity here forever, but unfortunately, the guy in front of him was just a duplication after all. Kill. It's okay in this universe, but if he enters other universes, or even really breaks through the multi-universe, Martin will face a lot of troubles. Huh, idiot aloof. Martin sneered. He can sleep and die, and naturally dare to kill eternity, and definitely will not believe in the so-called fate obtained by charity. However, if you can make eternal all come forward and talk to me personally, I think the enemy they encountered is unexpectedly powerful, and who is it that can make eternal so nervous? In an instant, Martin quickly came up with many names in his mind, and each of them was a well-known Mephisto under the Marvel system. Then, no reliable answer was obtained. Forget it, let's draw 161st. Martin shook his head and started this week's lottery. There are 3 full-scale sweepstakes a week, which is really nothing good, but maybe you can get lucky when you are lucky. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting 10,000 tons of conversion gold. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting a super energy conversion ray gun. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting shapeshifting King Kong, Sonic. Sonic. Martin's eyes brightened. What he lacks most now is a super intelligence officer, the kind of intelligence that can collect endless information in an instant, and select all useful content from the complex information in an instant, perform deductions and make plans. Official. If there was a super intelligence officer guarding the original Earth base, and nothing else, Ultron would never have a chance to probe. There is no doubt that Sonic is the super intelligence officer Martin is pursuing. Sonic Wave, Tape Legion, Commander, under the Decepticon Legion. Character. Silence, information screening plus 36%. Height. Meters, energy, 6 million, body, healthy. Combat power. Level 3, famous quote, crying and screaming are as beautiful as music. Evaluation. The number 1 commander of the Tape Legion, Megatron's diehard. He seldom speaks and is always listening, but he always keeps some information in his heart so that one day someone threatens his status, he can use this to blackmail the other party. Because of his selfishness, no one really likes sound waves, but he doesn't care about it. Information is power. As soon as the sound wave appeared, he stood there silently, motionless like a statue. Martin looked at the sound wave, waiting for the sound wave to say something, but waited left and right. The sound wave didn't even have a fart, only the face that looked like an electronic screen, with various electric waves flashing from time to time. I understand. Your mission is to go to the Earth and closely monitor the situation on the Earth, but don't interfere. Martin was silent for a while, directly commanded, and at the same time opened the space-time vortex. Sonic did not say a word, turned decisively and walked in, carving the silence into his bones. Just when Martin looked down at the 4 infinite gems, thinking about the next step. The far depths of the universe. Holy Place Battleship 2, slowly docked in the void of the universe. Thanos's face was solemn. My lord, everything is ready, and you will be able to talk to the god of time soon. Ebony Maw, the dog's head soldier, bowed to Thanos humbly, at the moment. Thanos nodded slightly. You can leave. That old guy hates me so much. He is likely to vent his anger on you. If you don't want to die, stay away from me. The Obsidian 5th General looked at each other, and finally lowered his head, slowly exited the hall, and walked out quickly all the way out. Finally, Supergiant fiddled with his snow-white suddenness, and said lightly, it seems that in the face of Martin's pressure, the master can't hold it anymore and intends to find strong assistance. General Corvus Glaive gave a smirk. If I were the master, I would do whatever it takes to find a powerful force. We have personally experienced the brutality of Martin, haven't we? If it weren't for him, he wouldn't have taken us 5-level sub-gods at all. Father looked at us, we were already dead. At this moment, everyone showed a look of fear and lingering fear. At the beginning, they took the Zetaru fleet to attack the Earth, and as a result, Martin took a casual blow, and they, along with the Zetaru mothership, were submerged in the explosion. The 5 of them were seriously injured but not dead. That Martin actually got the scepter and tesseract in one fell swoop, and what made their scalp numb is that the Earth people in Martin's area had a better understanding of these 2 artifacts than they did. I got 2 infinite gems directly. They don't even know the Mind Scepter and Tesseract, they are actually infinite gems. If they had known for a long time, they would give infinite gems to Loki, especially the ambitious General Corvus Glaive. He could not wait to take infinite gems as his own, and after gaining powerful power, he would kill Thanos directly and become a new one, Lord of the Dark Quadrant. Now, the entire universe already knows that a human named Martin actually possesses 4 infinite gems in one fell swoop, enough to annihilate the gods. This terrible truth makes Thanos, who has always obtained infinite gems to achieve his lifelong ideals, finally emerge. A trace of anxiety. No matter how you look at it, Martin is an overlord who will not lose to him, bloodthirsty, cruel, and militant, and will never compromise in any form under the advantage of the battle situation. To a certain extent, Martin is more cruel than Thanos, because Thanos' ideals are at least lofty, whether they are right or not. The ultimate goal is to save the universe and allow more lives to live better. And Martin, his ideal is to conquer originally. Thanos finally felt anxious and irritable. The level sub-god father, who was a mere level sub-god father, had to bite the bullet and contact the gods of the Eternal Titans after he couldn't find a way to effectively improve his strength within his sight. That's right, the Eternal Titans also have gods, just like the Wakanda people have their own leopard gods, and the Skrull Empire, one of the 3 empires, also has their myths and living gods. The god of the Titans, named Cronus, is one of the power entities in this universe, the famous god of time. Similarly, he has another layer of identity, that is, Thanos, dear grandpa. Thanos stood alone in the hall with his hands on his back and looked down for a while. Then, he directly initiated the ritual of the Titans, and the complicated instruments began to rotate. In the dark, strange waves spread. Soon, an ancient existence in the universe responded to Thanos. Boom. The terrible pressure came, with a vague boredom and irritability. At the same time, if you feel it carefully, you can clearly notice that time has stopped passing at this moment, and everything seems to be frozen in this moment. A tall figure gleaming with stars, dressed in a long cloak, holding hands and shoulders, came indifferently. This being looked down, his eyes fixed on Thanos, and immediately, there was a trace of disgust and rejection in his eyes. It's been a long time, Grandpa. Thanos turned his hands behind his back, but instead sat directly on the throne, calmly looking at the god of time. Even though he himself was just a level sub-god father, he did not show any form of fear in the face of the god of time in level single universe. Because Thanos still believes that he still has destiny in himself now, and the favor and attention of the universal pan-consciousness. Thanos, my most disgusted descendant, you shouldn't call me, all your thoughts and actions make me extremely disgusted. Cronus stared at Thanos coldly and spoke slowly. Cronus's attitude towards Thanos was extremely bad. He couldn't understand all of Thanos' actions, even his seemingly lofty ideals. But you have to admit that even more ancient gods are secretly supporting my actions, at least they have not hindered me, just like you have been silent all the time. I am the destiny of this age. Shoulders the important task of saving the universe. Thanos said calmly. Cronus stared at Thanos for a while, and suddenly sneered. But unfortunately, your destiny seems to be being transferred by a new existence by violent means. Even the 5 great gods and the will of the universe can't do anything about it. Even they can't interfere with this kind of progress. Thanos frowned. Impossible, he is just a human. But a human being has reached a level where even a god can't interfere. Even the oldest cosmic god can't see through this humble human being. Thanos, you have provoked a tricky enemy. Cronus sneered. As the god of time, his person on the time level is only under the eternal god. It stands to reason that his understanding of Martin should be far superior to other existences, but in fact, Cronus himself was dumbfounded. He cannot understand. I don't understand. Where did Martin get that weird power to mass produce a powerful species called shape-shifting King Kong? Where did you get the weird artifact? Originally thought that Martin should be the kind of stowaway from a parallel universe, and was not discovered by many cosmic gods, but he checked it carefully and found. Martin does not have any rejection or discomfort. It seems that Martin, together with Martin's shapeshifting diamond and artifacts, are originally part of the universe, without any sense of disobedience. But how is this possible? If Martin had no secrets, it would be better for him to commit suicide as the god of time, Cronus. This kind of non-violation is precisely the biggest violation. It is an existence that even the 5 great gods can't see through. And his grandson, the last descendant of the eternal Titan, was going to be an enemy of such a weird guy and snatch infinite gems. He was defeated. It's useless even if there is destiny, this thing will change. I will not give in, and I need your help, Thanos said solemnly. Kronos smiled angrily. I will help you. Help you kill Martin? Unfortunately, I am not his opponent now. I didn't let you kill him, but I need the power of the remaining 2 infinite gems. You can directly tell me the whereabouts of the last 2 infinite gems. Thanos got up and said seriously, he doesn't care about reality gem. But the soul gem, the most mysterious and transcendent in the legend, is his real goal. As long as he can get the soul gem, everything is possible. Soul gem. Originally with a kind of disaster, to get the power of soul gem, you need to pay a painful price, and you can't afford it. Cronus took a deep look at his grandson. Since I am out, I can pay any price, even my own life. Cronus, tell me, where is the soul gem? Thanos said solemnly. Warmir, I hope you don't regret it. Cronus left a name, and his figure began to slowly disappear. He felt that the meeting could be terminated. Thanos looked at Cronus and said solemnly, I will not regret it. From the moment I decided to kill half of the life in the universe, I will never regret it. Moreover, this is not what you want me to do. Cronus paused, and was silent for a moment. Indeed. Many lofty guys have lived too long for too long. They have been arrogant and have enslaved hundreds of millions of low-level lives for too long and too long. After a long time, even the spirit of being a god was lost, and he was rotten. And Thanos is determined to destroy half of his life to continue the life of this universe, and it is the cosmic gods who benefit the most, which can make them decay for a long time. Really, cruel reality. Finally, I will give you a piece of advice, Thanos, your ending may not be very good, but your process should not be too bad. Kronos suddenly said, I am going to participate in the Cosmic Summit. Many cosmic gods will get together and discuss this special existence of Martin. Maybe it will be beneficial to you, Thanos, after all, you are the original destiny. Cronus's figure disappeared completely. Thanos stood quietly on the spot, motionless, thinking carefully, and immediately showed a cold smile with a deep sarcasm in his smile. He stood for a while, turned around, and summoned the 5 obsidian generals. Search for Warmir's coordinates. This is the top secret of the Dark Quadrant. Once you find the coordinates. No, don't move for now. Thanos pondered for a moment, waved his hand, and suddenly asked, where are Gamora and Nebula? Ebony Maw respectfully said, Gamora is with Quill in a Cybertronian lifeform called Confinement. He is now a cosmic bounty hunter, and Nebula is following your orders in chasing Gamora. Order Nebula to continue tracking, and I will act personally. Thanos ordered. Obsidian Fifth looked at Thanos in amazement, and finally bowed respectfully. Warmir. There was deep thought in Thanos's eyes, and there was even a hint of expectation. What kind of surprises will Soul Gem bring to him? Martin, who was closing his eyes on Cybertron, suddenly noticed some slight fluctuations at the moment, and suddenly opened his eyes. The power of the 4 infinite gems kept flashing, providing him with a lot of information about the universe. According to the reaction of infinite gems, many powerful forces are coming together. The ancient cosmic gods are going to hold a cosmic summit? Martin was thoughtful, and immediately burst into laughter. Really, those cosmic gods finally couldn't sit still in the face of him who broke the existing trajectory forcibly and not according to common sense. The cosmic summit, according to Martin's memory in his previous life, triggered panic among many ancient gods after Thanos gathered infinite gems, forcing many gods to gather together to discuss how to stop Thanos' meeting of gods. In the entire universe, all gods with some backgrounds will participate in the summit. Martin feels that at the moment, he is the only one who can trigger many gods to convene the summit of the universe. Unless it is an unknown existence from other universes, there is no other reason besides these two possibilities. The Cosmos Summit is nothing more than a self-help action by a group of helpless guys. If the problem can be solved by the meeting, then there is still force to do. Martin sat down again with a sneer on his face. Really, a group of interesting gods, when can a meeting solve the problem? He closed his eyes again, feeling Quill in the confinement, and left Cybertron with Gamora and others and began to wave around the universe again, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Soul Gem, Thanos, do it soon. When you do it, I will immediately cut your hand and take everything from you. There was a brutal smile at the corner of Martin's mouth. Universe Summit. Many ancient gods gather together. Anyone who can step into this place can take out one and place it in the entire universe. They are all beings written into myths by countless civilizations. The whole body exudes a powerful power, and the light of the gods is surging, law flashing. 5 great creation gods. Observer, the god of time. Celestial group. Cosmic Presbyterian Church. A large number of beings have gathered here, each with a heavy face, watching the other beings vigilantly, with a tense spirit, and a plan to do it at any time. Those who can stand here can be regarded as familiar with each other. Similarly, in the hundreds of millions and billions of years, there have naturally been many contradictions and conflicts that have erupted between each other. It looks like that's it. Cronus's gaze swept across every existence coldly, only then slowly narrowed his gaze. Compared with these old guys, he is considered young. After all, he belongs to Grandpa Thanos. He can sit on the seat of the god of time and become one of the entities in this universe, and he can be regarded as standing at the peak of his life. In terms of time specifications, the only thing higher than him is the eternity of one of the 5 great gods, which is an existence that he cannot surpass, and Cronus also died and didn't want to. Wait a minute, another great existence will come. Annihilation, the strongest of the 5 creation gods, suddenly said. All the gods frowned, and some of them were even more moved. Boom. A horrible suffocating light suddenly descended. This divine light seemed to come from the realm above the multi-universe. It was powerful and inexhaustible. Every ray of vibrating light was vaguely brewing the law of the endless universe. The ethereal hymn sounded, countless phantoms were lingering, sing praises for this one who is coming. Language is not enough to describe the greatness of this person. Power is not enough to describe the vastness of this person. The rule is not enough to limit the supremacy of this position. The huge golden figure walked out of the endless divine light, and the thick golden body exuded nobleness and majesty. The 3 heads floating on the shoulders, at the moment, were looking at everything indifferently. Every existence that was inadvertently swept, the power of the whole body suddenly stagnated, his face changed, and he had to bow his head to express awe. This one is exactly. Life Court. Kronos had a look of horror, and there was even more sense of endless horror in his heart. Seeing the supreme god in charge of fairness and judicial power, Kronos's heart was panicked, but it was not ashamed. During the summit, all the gods at the moment were plunged into huge amounts of restlessness and anxiety. No one is clean, at the moment suddenly facing the life court ruling everything. The panic in his heart is beyond words. The mere Martin actually shocked this one. It stands to reason that this person will only show up when there is a major event that directly affects the multi-universe. Definitely will not send the body. Like the 5 creation gods, the Court of Life is extremely mysterious and more powerful. It's a terrifying existence that I don't know where it came from, and usually only sends duplications to various universes. But even duplication is a duplication from the life court of Almighty Universe level. The conventional multi-level universe is not even an opponent of the duplication of the Court of Life. Facing the duplication of the Court of Life, the 5 creator gods standing in the center of the summit, at the moment also lowered their heads, quietly listening to the teachings of the Court of Adjudication. The Life Court spoke out, spit out the obscure ancient gods, and all existence understood. I'm here for a terrible disaster. I have nothing to do with your discussions, so don't panic. The life court opened, and the golden light surging all over, spread the rule of fairness and justice. A terrible disaster has come, which severely broke the rule of action of the higher gods. It will spread panic and disorder for the entire multi-universe and needs to be stopped. But many gods are still worried. It took a long time before Eternity spoke. This is the summit. It mainly faces the threat posed by Martin's rise. The old predictions have been broken, and a new future is emerging. No one has ever got 2 infinite gems, but Martin, now he has got 4. The strength is the best in this universe, and he has already started on the remaining soul gem and reality gem. When he succeeds, all of our gods will be added together, and can no longer stop him. Death suddenly ridiculed. In fact, no one can stop now, except for the Life Court. The Life Tribunal stood indifferently as if it hadn't heard it. He will not intervene in such things. He symbolizes the supreme judgment and justice, and will always take the initiative to show up only after the change, not before the disaster. The Life Court cannot take the initiative because Martin wants to collect all infinite gems and destroy the entire universe. This is not in compliance with the rules, because Martin has not obtained all the gems, nor has he attempted to destroy the entire universe. The Life Court is like this.